today's home cooking. Tomorrow I'm going to make a pot roast, but I've already done a video on pot roast. I could do another one and make it better than the first one, but instead I kind of had a hankering for scalloped potatoes for tomorrow, so that's going to be one of the sides, and that's what we're going to make today on today's video. I've already got stuff heating up. I've got to get the sauce for it ready. The recipe I'm using says to microwave the potatoes until soft, and then slide. I don't like microwaves, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my mandolin, my cheap mandolin. I'm in the market for a new one. I'm investigating those now. Hope I can get one more use out of this old one. I'm going to slice them about 3/8 of an inch thick and blanch them a minute or two until they're sort of al dente, and then I'm going to shock them in ice water to stop the cooking process. Then I'll assemble it and finish it in the oven. Our first step is going to be to make a roux, that's R-O-U-X, for a certain member of the Good Eats fan page. Thanks for that reminder. And we've got 6 tablespoons of butter melted here, 6 tablespoons all-purpose flour, some garlic powder, salt, and pepper that we're just going to dump in here and start stirring it. We don't want this dark. We just want essentially a blonde roux, which means it's not going to take long. After that, we'll start adding, it calls for 3½ cups of milk, but I want it a little richer than that, so I used 16 ounces of half and half, and then the rest of it in milk. We've also got some New York extra sharp cheddar, some charred cheddar, and some smoked Gouda that we're going to put into the sauce once we've got the sauce ready. And you can see we're starting to add the half and half milk mixture into the roux. We've probably got about half of it, maybe a little more, in right now. We need to smooth it out just a little bit. And then you see how it thickens up. And we'll add a little more. Anyway, I'll keep doing that until I get it all incorporated and smoothed out, and then we'll begin adding the cheese to make the sauce. I've got all the liquid in it. I just need to bring it to temp. So we can add the cheese. Well, you can see my million-year-old and cheap piece of crap mandolin. It really is a bad one. I'm only going to do a couple of potatoes at a time. I'm wearing a cut-resistant Kevlar glove. This does come with a hand guard. I've never liked those hand guards. This is so bad that I literally have to hold the thickness adjustment in place. Otherwise it'll slip and I'll end up cutting half-inch slices, or maybe even more. But as long as I hold it in place, I'm going to be okay. You can see how dull this thing's getting. I mean, this is only a potato. You know, I can understand a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are really dense and hard. But this is just a potato. Potatoes are not all that dense. Anyway, I'm going to keep doing this. Actually, I'm done for the moment. I'm going to dump what I've got here in the water. I'm just going to blanch a couple of them at a time, and then shock them in cold water. I had greased a Pyrex baking sheet, and those first couple of large potatoes, it's gonna be the bottom layer, which means there's gonna be a lot of potato in this, because the next layer will be 2 more very large baking potatoes. And I'm gonna try to get them all in here. Try like all hell to get them all in here. There's going to be 3 layers in all, I hope. But those were large potatoes, and I may have trouble getting them all in there. Anyway, I've got the other 2 large baking potatoes blanching. I'm going to add some of the sauce. Now, it's actually cooled a little bit. That was at least 1/3 of it. Now it'll be time for the next layer. Well, as an old whaler might have said, thar she blows. We topped it with the sauce, and then we topped it with some Parmigiano Reggiano, a nice dusting of it, and then some sharp cheddar cheese, finely shred. And the finishing touch, as I drop it all over the floor, are some green onions, just for a little color, just because they look cool, and just because I like green onions. So that's why we've got green onions. You know, when someone else is doing the cooking, they can make it the way they want. When I'm doing it, I'm making it the way I want. So anyway, there you have it. It's ready to go in the oven. It's going to go in the oven about 350 degrees for 1 hour. Okay, well, we've got the scalloped potatoes ready for the oven. What I think I didn't show you was that I par cooked them. I cooked them in boiling water for just a couple of minutes, and then shocked them in ice water to make them sort of al dente. They're partially cooked. An hour in the oven should cook them through the rest of the way, and they'll be nice and soft the way they should be. When I put it in the oven, I'll leave it covered for about 30 minutes. And I'll pull the cover off so that the cheese on top can brown. Should make a beautiful presentation. It should be great. I filled it so full of potatoes and sauce that obviously I'm going to have to put a cookie sheet underneath my baking dish, because the cheese is just going to bubble over. If I don't, it'll bubble over onto the bottom of the stove, which we don't want. So underneath the cookie sheet it'll go. You'll see it shortly. Here's our scalloped potatoes. Looks pretty good. I was hoping for a little more browning, but I can't keep them in the oven forever. I mean, eventually we have to eat, and people are tired of waiting, so I pulled it out. It looks fine. Thanks for joining me today, Dave's Home Cooking. Scalloped potatoes today, and they look pretty good. I'm fixing to build my plate. There we have it. There's our little dinner plate for today with the scalloped potatoes.